We are alive.
Okay, okay.
See tonight, you come It's a long time we never come home. I do wonder,
Go live in a few minutes. I'm going to
I'm
refresh
feeling
this
wonder,
quick.
never wonder,
Thank you, babe.
my brother, now where you get when you come back home, my sister, now where you get when you come back home, you sing of the music intensive like I'm come back. You dance to the rhythm of people and get for come back. Back to deep, for I'll be into deep, for I'll be we want to be you, we want it, we want to be you. Dreaming big for tomorrow, we gotta walk and it glows. The inspiration to the younger generation. Oh, no, the time is calling you back home. Oh, me, la vie. Oh, girl, yeah, where you get, when you come back home. When you come back, when you come back. My sister, where you get, when you come back home. We can dance to the what people get. Entity, for power be entity, for power be we want you, we want it, we want to let you yeah. Oh, sweet home, every time Miranda OBEN, calling you back home. Official, Z tonight, you already know. We
Take another shot. Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Hello, and welcome back. We are here live from Germany, 7 p.m., and live from probably somewhere in Washington, D.C., or somewhere in the U.S., but it's 1 p.m. where you are, I would think. Miss B. It's a huge pleasure for me to see that for 3 weeks we've had some amazing guests through this program. We have been going through interviews across the world, and today our plane landed in your home because it's a stay-at-home period. The world is facing a pandemic, and everyone has to stay home. But whatever it feels like to be home, but not really home, we're going to hear that from Miss P today. Welcome to the show, Miss P.
Thank you, darling. Thank you so, so much. It's such a pleasure and an honor for you to have me on here. Can I say something, by the way? When I saw all those names going up, I was like, I'm waiting for them. If they don't reach out to me, I will just start Wahala. And when I got that a message, I was like, what am I going to talk about? I was panicking. And then the topic came through, and I was like, yeah,
Okay.
straight to my heart.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I know our people, they know already, they sense that we're going to reach out to them. So you having been feeling like that, and then we reach out to you, it's really a good feeling. It's a mutual feeling for both of us.
Yeah.
You're gorgeous.
Thank you. See, only the best for you. Only the best for you. Every time you come on, you look so gorgeous. You make the extra effort. So I was like, you know what? For her, at least, it
I
has to
know,
be good.
right? I was like, no way, you're going to be staying home. So why are you getting people out of their comfort zone? But it looks like people are happy to be able to reach out to
Yeah.
the world and not stay locked up somewhere and crying and not knowing what to do. And if we've been called to be role models, you saw the preview at the beginning, the number of guests we've already had here on the
Yeah.
program. And so trust me, it is a pleasure for you to get out of your comfort zone to talk to us today.
Thank you. And you know what? To be honest, I'm not very much of a makeup person, but this time around, any opportunity I get to do my makeup, I'm just like, okay, let it be put to use. They say you can't keep certain stuff for longer than 3 months, so before they expire. And honestly, it makes you feel great when you dress up and you look at the mirror and you feel good. So sometimes it's just it's an energy boost for me to, dress up.
Sure, but you always look good. I have to be honest. Your pictures are killing. Face to face, you're even more beautiful than on the pictures. I remember when we met in Douala and I was staring at you like, geez, is this for real? But before we start talking only beauty and all that, let's go to the fundamental of why we are here today.
Yeah.
The world is facing a pandemic, an unprecedented crisis. So we're reaching out to the world to talk to people who are role models in their domains, people who stand out there and fight for others day in, day out. So my team and I are very, very glad to have you here today. Accept warm greetings from everyone who has put this up together. And so before we get into the interview, a huge kudos to Christelle Can, who happens to be celebrating her birthday today.
Yeah.
I have to pause and let's check our voices and sing happy birthday the moment we see online. But Miss P, trust me, we don't need to introduce you. For everyone out there who knows your work, I like the excellence and quality with which you work. But then for people who don't know you, who is Miss P? Who is behind the scenes?
I'm one of the worst people at selling myself, but usually the story behind it is what makes it interesting. When I got back to Cameroon a few years ago, I was very interested in what people do, and there was very little information. So I created a platform called the Miss P Show, which showcases young people in their field of work. And sometimes for those who are already known, we take them out of their comfort zone and try to get people to relate with them. So somewhere it's some form of inspirational, motivational factor. And then there's also the education and then the entertainment factor. We kind of did an infotainment fusion. Along with that, my midterm project was actually training young people, because working with a lot of young people, I found out that they were missing fundamental skills to be able to perform in the professional world. So I organized workshops where we find people who have been in the professional field for quite a few years session. Hopefully, when we find a means to be a lot more sustainable, we can have boot camp type situations. But the goal is to empower young people, empower young Africans, especially Cameroonians, because we're still far behind as compared to other African countries. But all in all, that's what I do. And we're hoping to push and encourage a lot of young people to be able to develop themselves.
Now we've talked profession. What are your other passions apart from being an amazing host? What else do you like?
To be honest, I love a lot of things. That's what pushed me into doing this. I found out that I was interested in knowing what people think, in traveling, in experiencing new cultures, different types of food. So the world in general kind of just makes my mind blow. And the only way to discover it, what people think, is to travel, meet them, gain some knowledge. And I was like, why don't I share this? Why don't I share the experiences I have with these people that I meet? Hosting to me came, that's how I kicked off with the show and all. And that's something I was really passionate about, just discovering the world. But hosting to me came by a friend who organizes events, and somebody was like, why don't you host one of my events? I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to, contrary to what people know, I'm fairly shy, fairly shy. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk in front of a lot of people. I just don't know how this will work. And when I got on it, I found out that I was even more passionate because I found creative way to express my hosting gigs, and it was mostly through how I dress. Very simple, elegant, but there was always a touch of me in it. And even my style of hosting, I just personalized it in many different ways, and I try to upgrade every single time.
Right. And what about privately? What should we know about Miss P?
Did you just ask?
Yes.
Privately, to be honest with you,
profession, passion, private.
Yeah. To be honest with you, on a private front, I don't have much else but work, because 90% of my life revolves around work. Of course, there's family, and that's weekends. When I can, I spend time with my family and friends. But I swear to you, 90% of my life is centered around work, because work is my passion. Traveling, so my private life is very much merged into my work life, because I do, sometimes when I tell people I don't really have a specific social life, they don't understand, because I get to socialize so much within work that I don't feel like I need to hang out again. And then even when you're hanging out, sometimes you have business meetings while you're out, or your network I found a way to merge both.
Right. I'll give you a chance to talk about your outfits, because I know you definitely work with different designers and all that, and the amazing dresses. Tell us like 2-3 of your most fascinating outfits. Which designers are these? Are they African? Are they, I don't know. How do you get your dresses?
I do a lot of mix and match. I do a lot of research in terms of how I'd like to stay simple and elegant, yet have a touch of me. So one of the people who has been able to make that work perfectly for me is Louis Fame. We always find simple designs and then find a way to add something Miss P-ish. And the Miss P-ish thing is probably a high slit, is probably like an open back, is probably the type of fabric, and it's very dependent on the event. So if we're going for something cultural, very often we're going to find I'm not a traditional African girl. So if I have an event that is culturally related and I don't want to wear the full Ankara thing, I will find a way to add a touch of Ankara, or I will find accessories. Like I did an orange event, a comedy event a few months back. And what we did was I had my guards dress up in the African wear and carry me onto stage. It was really beautiful.
Right. So you help us dream when you get on stage, because you always bring your creativity into it. You've mentioned Louis Fame, so kudos to a Cameroonian designer who can get you always looking that amazing.
He is amazing. He is amazing. And one of the qualities I love is he's extremely patient with me.
Right.
I don't know if other clients are the same with him, but we can take something over and over if I'm not comfortable, and he's always so patient. So customer service, perfect.
Great, great. I do remember him, because I remember he made the suit for Dr. Ken Stephen's wedding. And so when I heard the name, I was like, was it imported? They said, no, it's made in Cameroon. I was pretty impressed, because I always had the feeling the best outfits come from here. But if we have local designers doing amazing jobs and being that creative, I think we want to look more at the Cameroonian designers, and we invite them in December, of course, to showcase their work at the returnees event. I think we're going to do that. Now, going to where you are at the moment, you have to stay home, but you're not home. How does it feel like to have to stay home but not home?
A few times, to be honest with you, at the beginning, I was super stressed. I will not even lie to you. I'm one of those who's extremely claustrophobic, very hyperactive, and I don't like to sit in one spot for too long. So when I sit in one place for longer than 5 minutes, I start stressing, I start panicking, unless I absolutely have to. So understanding that I am restricted legally to get out of my house except for essential activities, first of all, was a big blow. Now, even bigger blow to me was the fact that I was away from Cameroon. Cameroon is my base, and that's where 80% of my work activities happen. My team is there. I came to buy some equipment that I needed for my next season, and boom, 2 days before I head back, the president says we should shut down in protection of the virus. So being quite knowledgeable, and I had seen it happen where I was like, well, great move, but can you just wait 2 days by some miracle for me to get back? Unfortunately not. But it was a question of remodeling my mind, restructuring my mind to understand that being at home doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot function. So when you're back, what are the spaces you work in? The
Right.
house, the office, outdoors. Take down outdoors. That's just one of the elements. What do you do when you're at the office and home? And then I started remodeling my mind to accept that it's not that bad for somebody who
Right.
thinks not to have
Where
enough
did the
time.
news hit you? Were you just chilling at home? Were you in the middle of work? Were you already packing to return? In the middle, how far had you gone into your trip before this hit you?
I was 2 days away from home because I was due to return on the 19th. And at that point, I was just trying to make sure that all my orders were there on time, and those which are not there on time, who was going to bring them to me. And then that was sometime late afternoon. I was very much in touch with home that day because, we had heard information that that might happen. And at that point, I just picked up my phone and tried to call the airlines to find out if I could have room for the next flight. I think the next flight was supposed to be leaving in about 3 or 4 hours. But if I got on that flight, I would have not been able to get off in Cameroon anyway.
Because the
So I just,
borders were already shut. Yes,
yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
I just said to myself, you know what? You have to let this idea go. If you hold on to it, you're just going to be miserable. And it just sunk in. I had a glass of wine and I was like, fine, that's life. There's nothing I can do.
We do know you with your wine, right? We do know you with your wine, and there are a lot of people watching from all over the world and all that. So we're talking to Miss P of the Miss P Show. She airs on a lot of TV channels in Cameroon. For those in the diaspora, of course, you wouldn't know, but she's all across Cameroon. Let's talk about you now wanting to move back, and then you're sitting there stuck. And we read something on your timeline, actually forwarded to be by my team. You said it's okay not to push yourself to be the best version of you just yet. You don't have to sweep the pain and stress under the carpet. Allow yourself to be human, and when you heal, you will find the best version of you. Love is such an amazing tool. What inspired you into writing something so deep, which is simply
Uh, Miranda, I'll be honest. I don't like to talk about my feelings in public.
you wrote that in public, and if I check
Exactly.
correctly,
So that was the one-off type situation where I was like, I'm going through something really stressful, and I need to share how I feel because there might be other people who feel this way. In Africa, we really don't attend to mental health, and they teach us to be strong and deal with situations. And my first instinct when this happened was, okay, shut down all the stress, the pain, and the negative energy, and try to focus on what you need to do. You're away from home. Work has to continue. You've got clients to attend to. You've got a beautiful audience to attend to, and you've got yourself to take care of. So let's focus. For the first 2-3 days, I was trying to be strong.
right.
It didn't work. It didn't work. I would barely get out of bed, have a shower, and then eat something, and then I just sit, and I don't even know what to do next. I had sleepless nights. Um, I became quite grumpy and stressed, and I was fighting that in the wrong way. So there was a moment when I spoke to a very good friend of mine, Viola, and she was like, "It's gonna be okay, but right now I'm not feeling too good." Viola never feels bad. Like she hardly feels bad longer than 2 seconds. So when Viola said to me she wasn't feeling good, it kind of clicked in my brain that you have to stop thinking that you are fine because you're not. And then I think one of the things that deceived me into thinking that I could just be fine was the fact that when I go online, Facebook, and everybody, oh, let me not say everybody, a lot of people were posting about, being strong, don't waste this time, this is going to pass. So while you're on downtime, you have to, be creative, you have to use your time wisely. That's what I was trying to do. But for me, it was the wrong thing. So when Viola said to me she wasn't feeling great and she was trying to deal with this because she's a very people's person. She needs the action to keep going. That's when I allowed myself to take a step back and cry and stress and just break down. I broke down for about a week, didn't do anything serious. Just eat, and that's why you can see these.
But you work that. I know, it takes you a week anyway. So.
Yeah, I just broke down, and then I felt a little bit better, and I got out. Deadlines. I think what pushed me out of it faster than I wanted to was the fact that I had deadlines. I had a show which had to air. I had my team checking on me. I had so many loved ones checking on me and asking if I was fine, and that gave me the strength to wake up and fight for them. I felt miserable at somebody's day being, Pam, how are you feeling? Any better today? Have you eaten something? Did you sleep well? So it was my boost to kind of, get it together for these people so that they can actually rest too. Yeah.
Right. So how would you describe the Miss P show before all this? Describe to us what this was like before we get into what it feels like now. But let's talk to how did you feel about the Miss P show?
I'm a perfectionist.
Let me make it easy. Should I make it easy? How did you select your guests?
Okay, I was gonna go into something else. Thank you. My guess, to be honest with you, is not the most popular, it's not the most well-to-do, it's not the most financially stable. My guess is that person who has something which is impacting a good number of people, something positive. We go through a lot of issues in Africa in general, but Cameroon, I think is very peculiar in the way it has its own issues. We have exactly the same problems as Nigeria, as Ghana, but the way we experience it in Cameroon cannot be explained like all of us have said. So when I identify people who are providing solutions and not succumbing to the negative energy and not succumbing to the stress and all the challenges, I try to put them on the forefront because they are the face we need to see, the smile we need to see, the encouragement and the inspiration that we need to see to get out of all this down that we're facing. Extremely, extremely tough working and trying to grow in Cameroon. We have startups that last 10 years, So for someone who 10 years after is still holding on to his business, trust me, even if you're not the richest in the field, you have a journey to share that will inspire others.
Right. So that's how you pick the guests. Now, you started this journey. You had an idea, the Miss P show. And then I visited with my family in Cameroon. All of the boya billboards with your picture on it. Who has been that force? Has it been within you, or what entourage do you have around you? Or team or family? Who keeps you going, Miss P?
I have a lot of people who have kind of, I'll do in the Africa, we put their hand on my head and bless me with things moving forward. Like, this is what they do, and they pray. I have my family who pray and share and encourage me all the time. They do research, they send me links. I have changed my team a few times because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, like I said earlier on. So I really want things to be different. Working in Cameroon, I found out that we have a lot of young people willing to work, but they don't necessarily have the know-how. And a few of them are not motivated enough to develop themselves. So I was encouraged to work with people who have the willingness, not necessarily the right skill just yet, but who are willing to invest in themselves. And gradually, working outside of Cameroon as well provided an immense amount of openness in how I want things to be. Working with other people, kind of redirects you. And then my vision has always been bigger than what Cameroon had. So it helped me not to stay local in the way I thought about developing my business. That was amazing. For the billboards, when I came into Cameroon, I asked myself, but why don't we have like TV shows on billboards? It's something simple and straightforward. We are still extremely traditional in how we do things. I will not set aside the challenge of financing because that's a major one, even I still face at this point in time. But what gives me the strength to continue and to do those things is the fact that I set my mind on my goal. And that's what drives me. Sometimes I have to sacrifice one thing for the other. It's been 5 years, and there are months I'll focus on buying some equipment. There are months I'll focus on communicating. There are months I'll actually just take a break. Sometimes a lot of people ask me, how do you finance the life you have? And I said, I don't have a lot of money, but there are times when my brain has shut down. Rather than go invest into something which will not help me or which will not help anyone else, I would take a break, offer myself a holiday somewhere where I can clear my mind and come back refreshed. So, a lot of different factors have contributed to me being able to do the things I do.
Right. And how is the show organized currently with looking at, the situation at hand?
I think for me, it works out in a positive way. It's mentally difficult when you want to implement change anywhere in the world. And for any type of business, of course. But I'm trying to look at the positive side. Now, I still have a running office in Cameroon, but if I didn't have that office running, for example, not everybody is locked down, my overheads would drop immensely. So I look at it from the perspective of, okay, fine. If you don't have to keep that office running full time just the way it is. It means your overheads are dropping. My cost of production have kind of dropped in a certain way. I had to compensate on the other hand by buying new equipment because I was away from home. But the middle ground is if I didn't have to buy this equipment, my cost of production would have dropped. In terms of broadcasting, it means I have to find new ways to be able to broadcast to digital platforms. Every time I always do one versus the other because there are always challenges, but then again, results. The internet penetration in Cameroon, which is my main market, due to the fact that my sponsors are targeting the mass population in Cameroon, means that internet penetration is extremely low. So I cannot reach out to as many people as I want. So I have to start thinking of other ways where I can make people reach the show even better. What I did was I set my team out to search for regional channels, so that in many different regions, we will be posting our show. And then just try to innovate and think of, how to sell my business content, how to sell my business and my content to other platforms so that we can reach a wider audience as of now.
Right. Now you mentioned your sponsors and all that. I've been thinking, you have this show running now for a couple of years. How long is that now, Ms. B?
It's been 4 years, 5 soon, almost 5 years.
And you're a returnee. So you were originally in the UK and you moved back home to Cameroon. Now,
Yeah.
Great. Moving back home to make things work is amazing, and we support everything you do, and you've been supporting our projects as well. That's amazing. But I always wonder how easy or difficult, or what tips or advice would you give someone looking to reach out to sponsors? What do sponsors look out for?
Okay, I think the one thing sponsors look out for definitely is outreach. How many people do you have on your platform? The mistake many content providers make is they try to go to controversy because that's the fastest way to get your audience. That's okay. I don't judge if controversy is your thing, but keep in mind that when you want to tie your brand down to a corporate brand, and mostly corporate brands are those paying in Africa, if you want to tie your brand down to a corporate brand, the message you are delivering has to be in line with that organization. So going for controversy is not necessarily the right way, depending on what you're going for. I'm saying so because in Cameroon, most of the controversies we get to manage and handle are centered around sex, promiscuity, and to 80%, we use that as a tool to drive everything we do. In other countries, the same things happen, but they don't put it ahead. They put the work ahead. This is not me cautioning it. This is not me saying it's okay to be promiscuous or whatever, no. But this is just me saying that sometimes you have to prioritize the message you are delivering however you want it. So if you're going for a corporate brand, you have to understand what that brand represents and be able to build your content, your platform over time versus striking with controversy and blowing for a minute, and then 2 months later, you really don't have anything interesting to work with. Because a lot of platforms have had that problem. A lot of interesting platforms that even I used to look out for, today they're nowhere to be seen. I don't think the only platform that I know has really consistently built itself up with great content is Better Things. And she really doesn't do controversy. She does do a lot of hot topics, but it's mostly informative content and it's positive oriented. So I think brands like that have had an understanding of how to build their audience.
Right. A lot of people, like I said, you just think, oh, this is overwhelming with the situation. What do I do? You took some time to, get into yourself, cry it out if it takes, tears to make you feel better. And then you bounce back. You bounce back strongly, looking for other platforms to work with. What would you tell someone right now watching or who will watch later, who might have given up or is on the verge of giving up? What can you tell this person at this moment?
Giving up is really not an option for anything in life, be it family, friends, work. Like giving up, take those 2 words, put them in a piece of paper and throw it in a bin. It should not even exist. Accept that change is the only constant thing. Now, I say change because there are good days, there are bad days, there are good moments, there are bad moments, and you have to be able to understand that the bad moments exist for you to be able to transition to something positive.
Yeah.
So, how I've been able to deal with it is understanding that negative moments, challenges, bad times are not there to destroy me. They're there to reorient me, to help me find a different pathway. Sometimes we want to push for something and it's not the right thing. So we find, les blocages, comme on dit. And when you find those stumbling blocks, you try to push and push and push without understanding. There's some stumbling blocks you have to actually break through and cross over, that's fine. But you have to have the sense of discernment. I don't know, spirit of discernment. Yeah, you have to be able to discern which path you should push through. Personally, I swear to you, the one thing that strengthens me is just having my goals in mind, my focus. This is where I want to go. Even on low days, I remember that I'm low because I'm trying to achieve something specific. So if I cannot go left, do I need to take a break and, think of it in retrospect, or do I need to find another solution? It's all in here.
Now, you use the word perception, which is amazing because that takes me to my next question. What is your perception of the situation in the US currently? You being an insider, you being in the country, which is currently having very high numbers. How do you feel being there at the moment?
When I got in, the first couple of days, I was stuck on the news. I was trying to understand because when I left Cameroon, mind you, that was the first night they actually had a scare, because when my flight came in, you had all these medical professionals who just were gearing up to receive people, and I was like, wow, it's really coming in here. So
Right.
when I got into America, I think like 2 days later, it got worse in the news, and I just sat there trying to understand exactly what was happening, and it was scary. And then Italy, boom, and then France, boom, England, boom, and the numbers kept multiplying in New York, and places just shut down. The one thing that happens to a creative person's mind is like, oh no, especially when you hear New York is shutting down, you're like, no, no. What I did was I disconnected from the news about 2 weeks
Good.
after.
Very
I stopped
good.
listening to the news. I wouldn't even check on WHO to see what they're talking about anymore, because I knew that the fundamentals were avoid people, wash your hands, sneeze, and protect yourself so that you protect others, and cough,
Right.
and then stay away from people as much as possible. Stay indoors. What I do, believe me, Miranda, is stay indoors.
Good.
Go online, read up as much as I can, do a lot of research, but I avoid bad news.
Right.
No room for more than I'm handling right now.
And is now looking at what you're handling and all that, we're thinking it's not doomsday. We can stay home. We can use the time, catch up with friends, family, and all that. What would you say was something that has brought a smile to your face during this lockdown? Like, hey, this COVID-19 lockdown is not so bad, guys.
Can I lie about this?
Not all the details, though.
To be honest with you, the one thing that has made me smile through this is just understanding that life is so much simpler than I've always made it. And I'll say a lot of people complicate life for the wrong reasons, but with the right intentions. And I've always complicated my life a little bit more than I should, simply because I want to achieve certain things.
Mm-hmm.
As simple as I got here and I was supposed to be for a few days. So I had just one little suitcase of clothes. I didn't have clothes. I didn't have the appropriate makeup. I didn't have any of my stuff, but I was still alive. Essentials, we're allowed essentials, food. So, and my wine, of course.
Don't forget that. That reminds me of Chris, like, get my wine and I'm fine. And I'm just like, no, get my tea, get my tea.
No tea is for bedtime. So when I sit and I think of how I finally got to accept that I need to make life simple for my own self,
Right.
and with that, simple for everyone else, was amazing. I live alone back home. I spend a lot of time alone outside of work. So right now I'm staying at a friend's and it's extremely warm, something I'm not used to. Like, the home is warm. And I'm not used to that. My home is me, myself, and I, and it just makes for a beautiful environment. to just chill and have time to reflect on what you really value. Yeah, and the most important people around you are just like those you love. And one of the key things I found out about me this time was I'm a lot softer than I thought I was.
What we discovered during the lockdown.
Honestly, I realized that I'm a lot softer than I used to think I was, because just being locked down at home, I'm crying for it. I'm like, no, how can I be crying for being locked in the house?
Like, hey, come on, you shake it off. But you shook it off and you're working. How effective is now work from a distance? Like, what would you say are the major changes you've put in place being in the US and having to coordinate the Miss P show from there?
My people management skills has had to like go up a notch, because I have to manage my team and they're not on ground. I have to give them instructions from a distance. We're 5 hours away from each other. No, sorry, not 5 hours away. We have a 5-hour time difference between each other. So in terms of being able to have them execute certain responsibilities while you're probably sleeping or so, is based on the communication you have with them, the trust and their level of engagement. Now, I'm blessed to have finally found a team which is extremely committed. They would even take decisions and inform you on what they think will work best. So I've been, head rest, not a lot of stress in that domain. Before I left, we had a lot of productions we did on ground, which helps to cover up some of these things. So it's my beats which were not done. So it's me, the links on camera, and that's the hardest part. We did let me not say the easiest part, but we did all the things that excluded me on camera while I was on ground, waiting for me to come back. So while I'm here, I've had to buy new equipment, learn how to use cameras, professional cameras, film myself, and then send the content back home. Now, with the internet bandwidth challenges back there, it's a bit difficult to send all the footage home for it to be edited. So we find ways of partnering. Sometimes I'll have to edit some stuff, send it back, but we've really bonded as a team, making life easier. There are times when we're talking and there's a challenge on the phone and you can hear that the energy is going up a notch, and the other person will just reassure you, don't worry, it's okay, you're doing your best, it's not perfect, but it's going to be all right. So
are the viewers also, you think that the final result you get finally, the viewers will understand you shot during a lockdown, or because I know you with quality, don't get me wrong, or is the quality as good as we should expect from the Miss P show?
Yeah, so far the quality has really not been disappointing, to be honest. With the interviews, for example, this is what we do. We do Skype and Zoom interviews, and respecting social distancing. It's not as if we can do it any other way. If we look at all the talk show hosts, all of them are doing it from their houses. You have Ellen, you have Wendy, you have Trevor Noah. Everybody's doing it from home. So we've adopted the same model that everyone else is doing in the Western world. And then luckily the quality is still high definition. It's going on platforms. We've had some positive reviews. And in terms of the interviews, the content we've chosen is information around living with the virus. So we don't necessarily go back to the wash your hands guidelines and all, but we try to find people who can give a deep understanding as to how this is impacting us, how we can cope, how we can live and move forward with this in society. So the content has been very encouraging. I've had people write to me and said, oh my gosh, this is really, really encouraging. Thank you for this. I didn't think about this. So yeah, the reactions have been positive so far.
Amazing, amazing. So now I'm looking at something. Home office is what you did when you were in Douala. So you have a very good and stable internet connection. And that's the new norm, working from home. I'm thinking about Cameroon, the issues with the internet and all that. Do you think we should, or is it working effectively for most homes? I don't know what you've heard from your friends or colleagues to work from home with the internet challenge we know we have in Africa or in Cameroon. At least I speak for Cameroon.
Yeah, no, I've spoken to quite a few people and it's tough. Most of the people I know who are coping and doing fairly okay with this are those who work for telcos. The bandwidth has dropped. Everybody's connected online. They're on YouTube. They're on Netflix. So it's really brought everything on a slow-mo. For those who still, there are quite a few people who still go into the office like for fewer days, 2 or 3 days a week. So the internet issue, I'm hoping that not just for the internet. I'm hoping that this particular phase would get our leaders to understand that they have to invest more into developing the environment for us, because they are locked down with us as well. If they cannot function, if their systems are not centralized, if they have to deal with paperwork, passing on paper left and right, and signatories and coronaviruses on those papers, how does it work?
Right.
Meanwhile, you can easily go online and get a lot of those things done. So I'm hoping that this will be an eye opener into them looking at places like Silicon Mountain and Boya and getting all these young guys to come develop solutions that can actually be of use to us. Maybe cost efficient for a start, rather than thinking of, like, Miranda, I believe in simple things. I believe in simple solutions. One thing my mom always said to me is, whenever you talk about stuff, or you want to explain something to someone, explain as if you're talking to a 5-year-old.
Right.
So every time I try to share something, it's in that light. And it's as simple as the internet is not working and people are at home. So why don't you find those people in Boya who can do stuff, those young people who have solutions, and then you see how you can compensate them with something for a start. So on the private front, I don't know how many people can accommodate or can be able to finance some of these solutions, but maybe at this time, if some private people could finance some of those solutions, others would buy them. I don't know how feasible that is, but that's an option to look at. The general idea for me is we should be able to consume a lot of home produce at this point.
Right. So we're talking made in Cameroon again, consume a lot of home produce, be self-sufficient so that if the borders are shut, we are fine. If we shut the borders, we're fine. We have people making our dresses, makeup artists for our faces. Everything should be, available to us. We shouldn't feel like it's only when it comes from far away, from the USA or wherever, that it's good. Something which I try also to tell the diaspora, like, instead of struggling with luggage when you're flying home in December, there's some of these things you can buy when you get to the country. And then empower the young entrepreneurs as well, empower the young entrepreneurs as well. And
a lot of Africa is envious of Nigeria, but that's because Nigeria has made their own. You cannot come into Nigeria and open a company without having a Nigerian at the board, at the head of that company. It's impossible. Meanwhile, in our country, if you're coming to do that and to establish something grandiose, they're kicking you out unless you have a white man at the head of it, or a foreigner who speaks in with an accent. So a lot of those stereotypes have to change. We have to be able to cherish ourselves more, and it stems from lack of self-confidence. Cameroonians have been destroyed by leadership. Cameroonians were taught not to appreciate themselves, not to love themselves, not to know and understand what they are worth. That's where all of this stems from. That's why the solutions we provide never seem good enough. That's why even when some people start to provide some form of, opening into how things can be changed, we find a way to drag them down because we don't even believe that we can get it done. It must not be perfect. When Nigerian music started and the movie started, it was crap, but we watched it. But look at where they are now. They make billions off of that sector. So why would you spend your time criticizing someone? I'm not saying criticism is bad. You can criticize, but have a positive orientation. Today in Cameroon, we destroy people, not because we love to destroy people, but because we were thought to be destructive. That's it. I work with young people. And when I go to some of these offices, trust me, Miranda, it's the young people who drag you down. And I ask myself why. Somewhere I used to have a lot of aggression dealing with them, but I took a step back and I was like, these people don't love themselves. They were not thought to love and appreciate themselves. They were not thought to encourage themselves. They were thought to love other people. And that's why they look at Nigeria and comment and buy Nigerian music. But if a Cameroonian would do it, they will not put in the same energy. So back to basics, Cameroonians need to learn self-love. If you look at families, very few families tell each other, I love you. Very few parents would encourage their children with a positive, with positive energy. It's always trying to batter you. When you look at relationships, men and women, they don't talk to themselves with love. That's where a lot of our problems stem from. Just love. And lately, that's why I came up with this phrase, love is an amazing tool, because I found out that everywhere I try to put in love, it works out differently. There are times when I get really frustrated and stressed, but when I take a deep breath and I try to treat the person next to me with love, or I try to treat the situation with love, believe me, it moves mountains. Cameroonians need to learn how to love.
Cameroonians need to learn how to love. Love is an amazing tool. We read that a couple of times with you. I was actually just recognizing the presence of Roland Kwemen, the patron of the Returnees Project.
I'm actually just reading his comments.
He says, hello to two amazing ladies. Happy to listen to Ms. P sharing her thoughts on some of the tips regarding post-COVID-19 crisis. Congratulations. So that is amazing. Thank you, patron.
Thank you, Roland. Yeah, Roland has been amazing, I must say. I've watched Roland for so many years from a distance, and the way this man carries about, I asked myself one day, what's this man doing here? Like, what is it? He has so much that he could give the world, and the answer I got was learn. Stop asking yourself questions. Learn from him.
Learn from him.
Every time he has been, one of those mentors who you never really go to and bug all the time, but you just sit and watch his every move and try to understand how he's done it. Sometimes when I get stuck, I'll send through a message and he will reply instantly, even if it's just a phrase, try this, do this, contact this person.
Yes.
We need more of such people.
That is amazing. That's a tribute for you, RK. We should say we share love. Tell the people we love that we love them while they're here. No need writing all some kind of long PhD papers to come read when they're no more. So tell them today we love them and appreciate the work they do. So everything you said about RK, we've heard from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. So it's amazing how people kind of, relate to who, and the fact that he's able to multiply himself in other people is amazing. Thank you for those wonderful words for the picture, Ms. P. Now, you were talking about love being such a strong tool. What is some message you can give to the youths at this moment who we don't want to make the mistakes until they get to, I should have been using love to get this done or that done. So tell me a little bit, what message can you give to the youth who watch a lot of what we're doing at the moment?
Bear with me. I'm looking at my screen. I'm not disrespecting you. I was trying to see how I can post this on my page.
Go ahead and post it. No, but we're in a relaxed chat, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was trying to see how I can share this, and I was like, I'm not sharing this for long.
Don't worry, I'll talk about my team here. That gives me a chance to thank my team for the amazing job they're doing behind the scenes. Gilles Com, Priska, Elise, Crystal Can, Noel Tasha, and of course, myself. But all I do is, like I say, I'm just the face of the project. There's a lot of people working behind the scenes. There is Miranda Oben, and there are 17 people, like you see here around me, who work across the globe. That's the global team, to ensure that these interviews are running perfectly well, that the project is running the way you see it, that the Returnees Project has become a household name. It's because we have amazing partners as well, like Roland Kwemen as the patron, Miss P as a partner. She studied and lived in the UK for a while, and she moved back home to Cameroon. The same message we're passing to everyone: touch one life or another. Yesterday we had a brilliant young lady on the show. That is Stanaka Duran. She owns the Quality Healthcare Clinic in Yaoundé. A little girl, matching up with a co-founder, and taking care of so many, let me just put it, patients who would not even realize that they had a problem until they get to. So they go around, they'll bring their BP machine, measure people's blood pressure, take their temperature, just identify people who are not doing too good and offer services. So again, we do this in order to reach out to the world, in order to touch younger people's lives so they can in turn, pass on the message to the world when we're not here. So again, for people who just joined in, we're talking to Miss P of the Miss P Show. You already know her. We don't introduce her anymore, but a very strong partner of the Returnees Project. So that was your 2 minutes for you to do what you were doing.
I actually did. When I heard you talk about the team, I was like, yes, oh my gosh, I must commend them for their efforts, relentless. They're very pushful, they're very dynamic, and most of all, extremely professional. It's hard to find such a team on ground, and your team has really been amazing. And can I say that when you guys go to Groovy next time, you call me?
We do.
But when I see the pictures, I don't like them. I'm not liking this. I wasn't there.
We do have plans for Groovy this year. So the vice president, if you're listening, Elise Petio, open up the guest list for Kribi this year, right after the returnees event. The returnees event will be on the 18th of December, 2020. That's the Friday.
Yeah.
And on the 19th of December, we plan to go again to Kribi for a lovely weekend with partners and so on. So put Miss P's name on the list very fast.
Definitely. If I'm not on that list, you ain't going nowhere.
That's right. So, Miss P, we're also using this time to be able to read books, listen to music, just heal. What are some
Yeah.
books you can recommend to the audience?
One of the books I planned on reading, which I've not started during this phase, is 48 Laws of Power. The reason I wanted to read that, it came as a high recommendation from a friend of mine who actually offered me that book. But one of the things I would encourage a lot of people to, I'm not a book person, but one of the things I'll encourage people to look forward to is a lot of books that talk about mental strength, mental health, a lot of things that will improve your reasoning, because our minds are absolutely amazing unless we explore them, so if you don't explore what you have in here, trust me, you're going to feel dumb. We have conversations with people and they don't know what to say most of the times, not because they don't know about life, but simply because they don't do enough research. They don't open up their minds to certain things. So as Africans, we were thought to shut down our brains. Just find books that will encourage you to be creative, and creative is not necessarily art. Creativity could be in any domain, because every time you talk about creativity, people refer directly to arts, to music. No, creativity is within any domain or any sector that you're in. So yeah.
Your video stalling every now and then. Okay, now you're there.
There's one book every Cameroonian can reach. Aller à la totale, acheter The Impact of One.
Of course, hey, I have my copy here.
That easy to reach. Wow, I have a copy back home as well. I can't share what is inside because it's extremely deep. But if you read this book, you will discover so much about yourself that I can say.
The Impact of One is a very strong book. Again, recommended. And this is another chance for me to pass on this message to you, Ms. P. Any Cameroonian authors, let them know that on the 18th of December, 2020 in Douala, we'll be bringing the media to talk to Cameroonian authors. Let's know our authors. Books. So we'll have a corner. We already have Roland Kwemen, the patron, whose book will be there. Jamnyoy Joy's book will be there. Array Bate's book will be there. So many others. Marie Angela. So all the Cameroonian authors you can lay hands on. Let's have a fair, which is the Cameroonian books. Right? Instead of reading literature or knowing about fishing in Norway, I want to know more. I want to know more about what the Cameroonians are writing. So my team and I are whole exhibition area for authors, Cameroonian authors. And of course, everybody should get a chance to meet Miss P at the returnees event on the 18th of December.
On the 18th of December, 2020, definitely.
Yes, in Douala. Now, Miss P, you mentioned the books. We talk a little bit about the books. What about music? What kind of music do you listen to?
I'm very diverse when it comes to music, but one thing that will get me right now at this point is Afrobeat. I don't know. I've had an Afrobeats craze for the last year, maybe for the last 2 years. So I'm trying to get to understand the African mind in so many different ways. So music is one thing that speaks deep into me. I love some Andrea Bocelli. So
yeah. What about exercising? We've talked about books, now music. How about, do you find time to exercise? You don't have to, but before the COVID-19, what's your relation to exercise?
I'm one of those, when I kick off exercising, I give up after 5 minutes. I give up. The only thing I do, believe me, when I'm in Douala, I power walk. So I usually power walk for an hour and a half or 2 hours most evenings. So I'll do 5 evenings out of 7. But if you're talking about exercise, gym, and it's not really my thing. I'd rather just have
You want to ask me the same question? You won't believe it. I will stop. You stop after 5 minutes. I'll stop about 4 minutes, 30 seconds. I'm even worse. But I need to be picking it up.
I don't feel bad. I really don't feel bad. Just about 2 weeks ago, my friend Isabel, she kind of pushed me to start this 21-day challenge. And it wasn't vigorous exercise or anything. And I kicked up. I did 3 days, believe me. 3 days out of 21. I was like, girl, you done it. And I just went back to bed. Please, I need some chocolate.
You know what it is that makes them strong. You have to do your SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. So now I'm saying at this moment we'll be wrapping up. But then I think of one thing: success. What makes someone successful? What is it in people that makes them successful?
It depends on your definition of success. People define success in many different ways. My definition of success is being happy. So if I'm happy, I'm successful. I don't think there's anything in the world that can buy happiness, that can trade that I can trade happiness for. Happiness and peace of mind. So for me, if I'm happy and I've got peace of mind, I have everything I need right there.
Nothing to do with your name, Happy, but happiness says it all. That is what you strive for, because you will only feel contented with yourself if you're at that place of happiness. So lovely way to actually wrap this up. Is there someone out there you want to say hello to, Ms. P?
Honestly, there's no specific person I want to say hello to, but my message to the world, my hello is to the world, is to every single person. I don't know what else to say, but love yourself. When you love yourself, you love people in a different type of way. Target happiness, target peace of mind. When you target peace of mind, even when challenging situations come through, there's a certain serenity with which you will deal with things that would just bring you some comfort, that would just bring you smiles, that would just bring you, I don't know, something nothing can give you. So what I've learned lately is, Pamela, one thing, be happy. And you cannot be happy alone. You always try to make people happy around you, and that makes for a beautiful world. It will never be perfect. And I just want to say thank you to everyone in the world who's existing, who's positive, who's strong. Anybody who's alive, man, need to thank Baba God. That's my thank you. In fact, my shout out should be to God. God, I'm shouting out to you right now. I'm smiling, but I'm happy. No, Miranda, don't laugh. Like, I'm shouting out to God. I was about to miss this important one. I'm shouting out to God because He created humanity. He created human beings. And the way we are on earth should be a reflection of what He wants us to be, of the life He wants us to lead. So He should give us the grace and the strength to be able to deliver in the special ways that we have to. I was about to say certain things about human beings, but we're in control of nothing. And like, He's above, and I just snubbed him. Papa, sorry. But yeah, it sounds silly, maybe not well coordinated, but I think I know what I'm thinking. My shout out is to the man above.
That is amazing, Miss P. Like, the creator is just like about everything at the moment. It shows us again how vulnerable we are, and giving Him praise. I've not had to say amen during an interview, and it's been 3 weeks. Miss P to come to an interview and give a shout out to God Almighty. It's so emotional to have this. I don't even know how to go on. But remember, at the beginning of the interview, we did promise to sing a happy birthday song to someone who is very dear to you, very dear
Where's
to
my microphone?
all right, very dear to a lot of people in the world. Crystal is a selfless soul. Crystal is someone we cannot describe to the audience. Crystal is just that sister you want to have in your life. We actually want to say today, it actually was a coincidence that Miss P's interview falls on Crystal's birthday. Coincidences, I guess. Your Baba God, my Baba God is working amazingly well. So Crystal, this is, we're not actually singers, right? We're just hosts and moderators. So let's try like to sing you a happy birthday song, Chris, and you'll watch this after you celebrate in Douala. So, Miss P, if you're ready, that's my microphone.
Gearing up, mic check, 1, 2, 3. Mic. Yeah, my singing voice is on. Oh, this is Africa TIA by Nabil.
Yeah, that's my microphone.
I actually curve Nabil for not having one of those, but
Nabil, if you're watching this, please get one of these and write on it Miss P before you get into trouble. All right, we're gonna sing a happy birthday to Crystal Asexquele. She works in STB. We can say that in Douala because STB is a partner. She's an amazing friend and unique sister. This is one of the ladies we keep saying in the world. If women could support women the way Crystal can does, the world would be a beautiful place. So this is happy birthday song, Crystal. Anybody watching, do feel free to drop a happy birthday message for Crystal while we sing for her. So Miss P, if you're ready, I'm gonna.
I am ready.
So, happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Okay, let's start. Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday, Crystal. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Crystal.
Akira wishes happy birthday, Auntie.
Happy birthday, Crystal. We love you so much. And thank you for being an amazing woman.
Hooray! Happy birthday, Crystal. You see, Akira came you a happy birthday song. Thank you all for tuning in. I almost forgot. That's my sweet little boy who heard happy birthday. He said he came really fast.
I just came running.
He's like, shut up. He came really fast to come and wish Crystal, Auntie Crystal, a happy birthday. So thank you all for tuning in. This has been an amazing time with you, Miss P. Happy birthday to Crystal once more. We continue partying and thanking God that she exists. You gave a shout out to God, so thank you so much for that, Miss P. You have a lot of people who have been leaving comments and have been appreciating this interview, which you're going to read later on. The different platforms which have been shared onto, unfortunately, we cannot read. We can only read on the returnees page, but we'll watch that. I just want to recognize Galaxy J1. He says, Miranda, we enjoyed it so much. Thank you, Galaxy, for tuning in.
He has very insightful posts on Facebook, honestly. I enjoy his posts.
I'll have to check him out, Galaxy J1. I'll have to. Please, Mary, Chris, anybody watching out there, send me a link to Galaxy J1's page on Facebook. I'm talking to my team now so they can send that. And then when you mention going to Creeby, that's a member of my team. She says, ha, 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 sure, Creeby, for you, Miss P. So you're booked. And then she wraps up by saying, this was very interesting. Thank you, Madame Oben, for this platform. And thank you, Ms. P, for the beautiful tips and ideas. And of course, there is Kate Glory. She's based in Germany. She says, I'm so inspired by your ideas and information, Ms. P. So a lot of fans out there for
Thank you.
Right, birthday wishes for Crystal, which we want to recognize here. Divine Winter. Oh, cover of the Returnees magazine, Divine Winter. Woo-hoo.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so she leaves a happy message for Crystal. And then, of course, there is also the Tiho Margaret Ake.
Yeah.
Sorry about the pronunciation. Happiest birthday to Chris. And, of course, from Mary as well. Happy birthday. Miss P, it's been a huge pleasure talking to you.
I'm totally honored. And thank you so much for having me. I hope I can come again soon. And we'll sing.
You're always invited. I think you and I actually owe each other an interview.
Yes.
On this show, we need to catch up at some point after the COVID-19 crazy lockdown. So we get a chance to meet Miss P at the Returnees event on December 18, 2020 in Douala. Before we leave, Miss P, what is your wish for the world?
My wish for the world is plenty happiness and plenty peace. Plenty happiness. I just want to see people happy and floating, honestly.
Now we talked about God. I was late discovering this song, but it's a song which says God is amazing because what he says is what he does. It's a
Yeah.
Nigerian song, right? So we're African and we also appreciate all. I'll leave you with Ekueme, which means what you say is what you do. Can you hear it?
Amazing. Yeah. Oh, I think I've heard it before.
You are the living God, oh, and there's no one like you. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? You are the living God, and there's no one like you. Who am I? Who am I? You
are the living God. Oh.
Miss P, I want to thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you, Miranda. Thank you so much. Thank you.
The virtual world is good, but we can't hug each other in the virtual world.
Yeah.
Love you, girl.
Love you, darling. Thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you in December.
I will hug you and I'll not stop.
All the best and a lot of strength.
Thank you so much. Extend my love to the friends with whom you are in the US at this moment.
I will. They're amazing.
Lockdown, who you spend the time with. I'm home with my son, who you just saw, my husband, and my sister-in-law. So we're being strong for everyone out there. And I thank all my guests who have been tuning in. Tomorrow, we're going to have Mokhtar in Douala. And then we're going to have Alena as well this week to tell us about how the restaurants are able to brave it during this period.
Oh, yeah.
Have a beautiful evening and continue to show love.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank you all so much for tuning in. Same time tomorrow. Yeah, same time tomorrow, 7 p.m. German time and 6 p.m. Akira wants to say something. 7 p.m. German time and 6 p.m. 6 p.m. in Cameroon. We look forward to seeing you all again. Thank you, and thank you to my wonderful team. Have a fantastic evening, and we thank God everything moved on so well. The little hand here is my son. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and keep the love burning. Love your families, love each other, and make the most of this time. Thank you, Jill Com, for tuning in. Thank you to the wonderful team behind the scenes. And I'll see you tomorrow again, right?
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.